Hi guys, welcome back to Baked by Finn. I'm Finn, the winner of Junior Bake Off 2019. Today I'm going to show you how I decorate my raspberry and white chocolate cakes. So to start off, like I do all my cakes, I've got a cake board or drum. I've got a drum at the minute and a big piping bag full of my Italian meringue buttercream, and you can find the recipe and method up here. And just to start off, I'm going to put a blob of buttercream in the middle because this will stick the cake to the board. And today I've got a 9-inch vanilla sponge. I've got 3 of them, but that's the type of cake I'm using. And I'm just going to put that on there and then put a big blob of buttercream in the middle. Then I'm going to get an offset palette knife and just spread it about. So once you've spread that on there, get your piping bag back and pipe a circle going all around the edge of the cake. You don't have to do this if you're not going to fill it with anything, but today I'm going to be filling the cake with jam. And this is a raspberry and white chocolate cake, so I've got some raspberry jam here, and obviously the Italian buttercream is white chocolate. So I'll just put some of that in there and just spread it about with the spatula. And then just repeat the same thing again with the other layer. So once you've got the next layer on, now we're going to grab the final layer of cake and put that on upside down so that the top is nice and flat. Just give it a bit of a press down. And now you could either go straight into the crumb coat or fridge it for a little bit so the filling inside's set so it's not going to wobble about. However, I'm just going to put a quick layer of buttercream all over it, so the crumb coat, and then I'll fridge it for a few hours. So when I'm doing this, I'm not really aiming to make it look nice, I'm just trying to get the buttercream on the cake, and then with my spatula in a bit, that's when I'll smooth it out and it'll all start to come together. So right now it's got like a rough coat, it's not very smooth or anything as you can see. So now's the time where you get your bench scraper or a big palette knife and just go around it just to neaten everything up. So now I'm just going to go around with the bench scraper. And you can see how much it's neatening up the sides. So now we just need to neaten up the top a bit by getting a offset palette knife and just dragging these edges in. Now if we was doing the final coat on the cake, then I would be telling you to clean this off every time you do a swipe. However, this is just the crumb coat and we're going to be covering up anyway. Right, so I'm quite happy with that now, so now I'm just going to put this in the fridge for a bit, or you could even put it in the freezer if you're in a bit of a rush, because that'll just set the buttercream quicker. So if you're going to put it in the fridge, I'd probably say maybe like half an hour minimum, or maybe just leave it overnight or for a few hours, but really you just want to do it until you can touch the cake and the buttercream is not going to like pull away. You just want to do it until it's fully set. So my cake has come out of the freezer now, and obviously the buttercream's set. So now it's time to do the final layer of buttercream on it. This will be the one that looks nice. So I've got another big piping bag full of my Italian meringue buttercream, and yeah, just start piping all over it. So once you've got your cake covered, well not covered, but you've got some buttercream on it, just grab a palette knife or something and just start smoothing it off. Start with the top and just sort of push it down to the sides, because well, that's just naturally what's going to happen when you start smoothing the top. And then just go and smooth the sides. It doesn't need to be neat or anything, because we're doing it with the palette knife to start off with. This is what the bench scraper is going to be for in a bit, but just sort of get everywhere covered. And if you're worried about how much buttercream is on this cake, don't worry, because the majority is going to get scraped off anyway, so. Right, so I'm quite happy with this at the minute, for what stage it's at. And now I'm just going to grab this bench scraper, or whatever it is, and go along the sides, similar to what we did with the crumb coat, but this time we're not going to apply as much pressure, because we're not looking to scrape as much off as we were doing with the crumb coat. So once you're fairly happy with how smooth it is, now's your chance to get your bench scraper again and just go over the cake, but really, really lightly, like barely touching it at all. This will just make sure you get rid of any sort of lips that you get when you've removed your bench scraper. So I'm just going to do that now. And at this stage, this is where I'm going to leave it. And you might be wondering, well, the top's not very neat, as you can see. And this is a really good trick that I know, where you can get really, really sharp edges by freezing this how it is right now. And all of these little lips on the side will set really hard, then you just get a palette knife or a sharp knife and just run it along the edge, and you'll get really, really sharp, crisp edges on your buttercream. So this will go in the freezer now for about half an hour. So my cake's out of the freezer now, and the buttercream is set on it again. And I've got my palette knife here, and all I'm going to do is run it along that top lip, and you'll see these bits are just sort of crumbling off, and you're left with that nice sharp edge. And you want to be fairly quick with this, because the buttercream will come back to room temperature if it's out for too long. So yeah, it's really easy, like compared to some methods of sharp buttercream edges. Then once you've gone all the way around, just use your palette knife and just try and smooth it out a little bit. And once we've done that, we're just going to remove all of these little bits of buttercream shavings. And then we can give it one last little smooth around with the bench scraper, just to make sure there's no lip going outwards on the edge. And then we can put it back in the fridge or freezer, and then we can get decorating properly. So my cake's out of the fridge now. And when it comes to these sorts of cakes, I actually like to keep it quite simple. And I've got some raspberry jam here that we use for the filling, and I've just put it through a sieve just to get rid of those little raspberry seeds. And all I'm going to do is grab a palette knife, a small one, and just begin to put little blobs of jam dotted around the cake. So once it looks like this, looks like a bit of a bad drip cake, we're going to grab our cake smoother from before, and we're just going to press lightly and go all around the cake. And you'll see how quickly it comes together, and it's quite a nice effect when you think about it, really. And if it's a bit too concentrated in one spot, just grab the cake smoother again and just go over it a bit in that one spot. And because the cake's cold, it won't sort of leave buttercream marks in the cake if you don't press too hard. You can also put little imperfections in the jam here and there, which I quite like. Make sure you get some on top as well. And yeah, it's so simple to do this, but it just looks really nice. And yeah, there's not much else to say about it really, because it's done. So yeah, all we're going to do now is put some piping on the top with a nozzle that we've used before. Right, I've got a piping bag full of vanilla buttercream here, and I've got the Wilton 1M nozzle. I've used this a few times before, so all I'm going to do now is pipe around the edges of the cake. You've probably seen this done a few times before. It's like rosettes slanting and upright and a load of them, but I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I'm just going to do it on the cake. Wish me luck. So this is it now, my cake. If you wanted to, you could pour some of the leftover jam in the centre so it looks like there's like some sort of a glaze in the middle. I'm not going to be doing that today. I'm just going to be leaving this as is. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did like it, leave a like, subscribe, comment. And yeah, if you like this cake, you'll be seeing it again soon in a video where I'm going to show you how to stack a 2-tier cake with buttercream.